When Ethan shut the door that night, the silence that followed was so heavy it felt like a punishment. The sound of it, final, hollow, echoed in the small apartment we had built our lives in. I remember standing there barefoot, my breath sharp and ragged, realizing too late that the words I had thrown at him weren't weapons. They were the last nails in the coffin of something once beautiful. But this isn't just the story of a fight. It's the story of how pride, fear, and betrayal can unravel a person so completely that by the time you realize what you've lost, it's already too late to fix it. We weren't always like this. Ethan and I met when I was 22, working part-time at a coffee shop and barely scraping by. He was the quiet kind of man, steady, patient, with a smile that seemed to promise safety. He had this way of listening like every word you said mattered. I used to joke that he was the calm to my chaos. He'd laugh and say, "Then we're perfect for each other." And for a while we were. He worked as an electrician, came home with sawdust on his boots and a tired smile. I'd wait for him, dinner ready, candles flickering even on random Tuesdays. We didn't have much, but we had each other, and somehow that was enough. Until it wasn't. Started small, like these things usually do. I'd catch him staring at his phone, then quickly turning the screen over. I'd ask casually at first, "Who's that?" And he'd say, "Just work." But it wasn't just work. One night, I woke up and found him sitting in the dark living room, typing something on his phone. When he saw me, he froze. "What are you doing?" I asked. He hesitated just long enough for my stomach to twist. "Texting Ben," he said too quickly. "About the wiring job tomorrow." But when I reached out for his phone, he didn't let me have it. That was the first time I saw fear in his eyes, not fear for me but fear of being caught. Asterisk. The truth didn't hit me all at once. It bled in slowly, through inconsistencies and silences. Perfume on his jacket that wasn't mine. Laughter in his voice when he spoke to someone on the phone and thought I couldn't hear. A receipt from a restaurant we'd never been to, tucked in his jeans pocket. When I finally really asked him, voice shaking, heart pounding, he didn't deny it. He just sat there, eyes fixed on the floor, and whispered, "I didn't mean for it to happen." Those words were worse than denial. They were confirmation. I remember the sound that came out of me, half laugh, half sob. I remember throwing the receipt at him and saying, "You didn't mean to?" Like it just happened by accident. He didn't fight back. He didn't yell or defend himself. He just sat there, head bowed, like a man already carrying his own punishment. For weeks after that, we lived like ghosts, sharing the same walls. We didn't talk about it, but everything was different. His touch felt like a lie. My silence felt like surrender. I could have left. Maybe I should have. But I told myself that love was about forgiveness, about patience, about working through the cracks. I told myself that I could fix us. But fixing something means both people have to hold the pieces. And Ethan had already let go. One night, after another argument about nothing that was really about everything, I said the words that would end us. He was sitting at the edge of the bed, saying he was sorry again. Sorry for the messages, sorry for the dinners, sorry for the nights he didn't come home right away. And something in me snapped. "Sorry doesn't mean anything," I spat. "You think you can just say sorry and touch me like everything's okay? Be grateful I even let you touch me." The moment the words left my mouth, I saw it, the flicker of heartbreak across his face. The quiet disbelief. He stood up slowly, like a man who had finally realized there was nothing left to fight for. "Grateful," he said softly. "I used to be grateful just to wake up next to you. But you're not the same person anymore." He picked up his jacket, walked to the door, and paused. "You think I betrayed you," he said. "Maybe I did. But you killed what was left of us." And then he left. For a long time I waited for him to come back. I didn't believe it was really over. We'd had fights before, ugly ones, but he'd always come back. Except this time he didn't. Days turned into weeks. Rent came due, bills piled up, and I realized too late that our apartment, had always been in his name. When the landlord came knocking, I had nowhere to go. It's a strange thing, how quickly the world can shrink around you. How fast love can turn to absence, warmth to cold. I moved from friend to friend, couch to couch, carrying the weight of what I'd done in the silence between conversations. People whispered, "He cheated first, right?" As if betrayal cancels betrayal. But the truth is, I'd stopped being kind long before he stopped being faithful. One night, months later, I saw him again. I was walking home from a temporary job at a diner, and he was standing outside the grocery store, loading groceries into a cart. He looked older, tired, but peaceful in a way that stung to see. He saw me. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then he walked over. "Hey," he said gently. I nodded. "Hey." There was so much I wanted to say, so many apologies, explanations, confessions, but none of them felt enough. So I just said, "I'm sorry." He studied my face for a long moment. "I know," he said finally. "Me too." And that was it. No grand reconciliation, no cinematic ending. Just two people standing in the cold, surrounded by things that couldn't be undone. I never saw him again after that. But sometimes when I walk past our old apartment building, I still look up at the second-floor window where we used to sit and dream. I can almost see us there, me with my coffee, him with his newspaper, sunlight spilling through the blinds. I wonder if that version of us knew how fragile we were. How words could wound deeper than betrayal. How love, when taken for granted, doesn't just fade, it starves. If you told me back then that I'd end up like this, homeless, heartbroken, carrying the ghost of someone I used to love, I would have laughed. I thought love was something that could survive anything. But love doesn't survive pride, or contempt, or silence. And sometimes when you win an argument, you lose everything else. So when I think back to that night, to the moment I said, "Be grateful I let you touch me," I don't hear power in my voice anymore. I hear fear. Fear of losing him. Fear of being hurt again. Fear of admitting that I'd already lost him long before he walked out the door. And that's the cruelest part of all, realizing the betrayal wasn't just his. It was mine too.